A survey conducted by the Center for China and Globalization, in which looks at both immigration and emigration statistics, recently released its findings. It shows that over the past 23 years, roughly 9 million Chinese people have emigrated to other countries. It claims that China ranks fourth in the world in terms of the number of people who leave their nation in search of a life outside their country of birth or residence. Of those leaving China, it shows that most are well-educated and usually wealthy. As for the places they find most attractive to live, the United States, Canada, and Hong Kong are the three hottest choices. When these people move, they of course bring the lion's share of their assets with them. As we discussed yesterday, the South China Morning Post report looked at the Hong Kong investigation into why so many millionaires want to call Canada their home. So much so that as of January last year, there was a backlog of 45,000 wealthy Chinese citizens waiting for approval of their applications so they can move to the province of British Columbia on Canada's west coast. Outside of an increased awareness of the world and a rise in wealth, what is sparking this growing trend of Chinese people wanting to immigrate overseas? What will be the potential effects of this? To take a closer look at what Chinese net users have to say about the issue, let's cross over to the newsroom and our researcher, Julia Liu. Well, first of all, putting aside the data and figures, do net users feel that immigration is a common phenomenon already in China, and what do they have to say about this?
Well, based on the comments I've seen, most posters believe that there are indeed many people immigrating to more developed countries in recent years. While some find it quite normal, like this poster who says on 163.com. Under the trend of globalization, immigration itself is a trend that is irresistible, and it is to be expected in a big country like China with such an enormous population. Well, however, there are also some who think that the immigration figures might not be quite as high as the media reports. Well, this poster has this to say on iPhone.com. Well, I am aware that the number of Chinese people who have immigrated overseas is one of the highest in the world. However, we should consider the population basis as well. And what's more developed countries like Canada and Australia have already adjusted their immigration policies while putting stricter regulations in place to control this phenomenon. So I don't really think that immigration is quite as popular as the media portrays. But apparently, this poster doesn't agree with this conclusion. And he says, come on, only when 1/10 of the population moves out can you call it an immigration trend. It's never about amount, but about the quality. Look at who the people are that immigrated. Mostly elites with great fortunes. Well, they brought the fortune, the core technology with them.
So, what are the reasons driving these people to emigrate? I mean, China is developing at a rather amazing speed in recent years. Why do they choose to emigrate rather than develop their career and lives in their homeland? Do net users have anything to say on this matter?
Yes, they have a lot to say about this. And the reasons they think contribute most to the decision is that people want to access a quality education for their kids. Well, this poster says, well, I work in an immigration agency, and most of my clients choose to leave the country because they don't want their kids to suffer from the education system in China. Well, the kids in China have to go through huge hardship when it comes to education, and at a young age. And to make things worse, the college education here is bad too. That's why they want to immigrate, to provide their kids with a better education and life. And some posts mentioned the former U.S. ambassador to China, Gary Locke, who resigned in November last year, and said that his reasons for stepping down were purely personal, revolving around the education of his children, two of whom are in high school. Well, AP011 has this to say on 21stcentury.com. Well, many Chinese support Gary's choice and the reasons for leaving China. It's not hard to tell why countries like the U.S. are so attractive to Chinese people. They love the lifestyle, the values, as well as the education there. And many posters mentioned another newly emerging reason that people choose to leave China in recent years, which is actually another reason many Chinese people thought the U.S. ambassador wanted to leave China: the pollution, which has gotten out of hand in China. Well, this poster's opinion on 163.com may very well represent many people's thoughts. Well, I've actually been hesitating quite a bit as to whether to emigrate when considering the risks, such as whether it's worth it or whether we'll be able to adjust to life elsewhere. But as the pollution gets worse and worse in China, I have finally made the decision to leave, as nothing is more precious than life.
Well, Julia, so what possible short and long-term effects could this immigration trend have on China? Are net users worried about that?
Yes, many net users have expressed that they're concerned about this issue. While many worry that this might be a great problem for China in the long term. Jiang Xiaoyu says on cb.com.cn, well, the group of people that emigrate from China are the ones that have considerable effect on the development of the country. It's not only about the loss of fortune, but also about the loss of talent. And there simply aren't that many people who want to immigrate to China from other countries to make up for this imbalance. Well, in many cases, China's policies are not very attractive to foreigners, which deter them from considering moving here. But Xue has a rather different opinion on Sohu.com. Well, I think the loss of fortune might not be as serious as we think. As far as I know, many businessmen who emigrate to other countries find it hard to do business there, while they are more familiar with the business environment here in China and decide to continue their business operations in China rather than anywhere else. Well, finally, I'd like to wrap up with this comment on iPhone.com. Well, if a country wants to have its people love it and stay, it has to be a country that is attractive and provides its citizens with a quality of life that offers real safety, fairness, and harmony. That's what our government really has to think about right now.
Thanks, Julia. That was China Take researcher Julia Liu with a look at the large number of Chinese citizens emigrating to other countries. Next up on China Take, some of the top trending phrases on China's most popular search engines.